And then I was like, you know what, even if things don't go exactly your way, like that's okay. You know, it's part of your life journey, and just like really sitting in that and being okay with that.
Welcome to the Specialty Cafe, the podcast that empowers you, medical trainees, to find your perfect specialty. My name's Cameron Wong, and I'm a current fourth year medical student at Queen's University. I'm here with Andrew Pauls, one of the previous co-hosts of the Specialty Cafe podcast, to talk about his experience with Match Day. Andrew is a current first year resident at the UBC's Family Medicine program. Thanks for joining me, Andrew.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me, Cam. It's fun to, I think I've been used to hosting and now to be interviewed. So thanks for having me.
So I guess my first question for you was, what's Match Day and what was it like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Match Day was, I guess it's coming up for you soon, but mine was last year. It's a nervy experience. It's an exciting experience. It's an uncertain experience. It's all the emotions of like the climax of your medical school kind of put into one, because you got to decide where you're going to go for residency. So it's basically a celebration, I guess, if you will, of those results coming out, and you find out where you're going to go, and then you meet up with some of your other medical students and celebrate that, I guess.
All with your big class as well. A day that's, I guess, in 5 days for me at the time when we're recording this podcast. But yeah, it certainly sounds like a lot of emotions, a lot all at once. You're finding out maybe what specialty you're going into, but also where you might be going. It might be in the same location. It might be the entire country away. So lots to consider.
Totally.
What was it like emotionally for you leading up to seeing your results? Yeah,
totally. So I guess emotionally, I feel like I don't think I slept a lot the night before. But I knew, I was in Vancouver, so I think it released at like 9 a.m. I was at my, current place, and my fiance came over, and we basically had like the computer in like a room, and we were looking at it, refresh. I had a bunch of texts from like some of my friends in our group chat that were like where they matched, and we log on, refresh, and all of a sudden, boom, it says UBC Family Medicine St. Paul's. I was really excited. That was kind of my goal program. So it was like a really positive, exciting experience. But I think the anticipation, like, heart was racing. You have this like almost dysphoria feeling.
Right. And I recently recorded an episode with Dr. Harley Bray. She's an OBSCYN resident at the University of Manitoba. We were chatting about how, I guess, like, no matter how you felt your application went, no matter how you felt maybe your interview went, like good or bad, all of it kind of like goes up in the air when it comes to Match Day. There's a lot of doubts, a lot of like cycles through like elation and then also despair. So I can imagine you went through some of those emotions alongside the people you knew in your class.
Yeah, exactly. Some of my friends, they applied to certain programs and they didn't get maybe some of the interviews that they wanted. Other people got interviews across the board. And then when we like kind of debriefed post-interview cycle, some people were like overthinking their answers. Other people were like, oh, it'll be fine. So it's just like, it's tough to predict, I guess, the emotions that you'll experience. I tried to keep pretty level-headed and just see what results came out for me.
You mentioned you opened the results with your fiance, kind of at your home. Can you walk me through like what your like mind was going through, like the moment you saw the program flash on that screen?
Honestly, it was a big relief. So it's UBC, St. Paul's. It's very close to kind of my area that I'm familiar with. So I felt first just relieved, like, okay, great, awesome. I know like you don't have to move right now and all these different things like that. So that's great. And yeah, I think just general relief. And then I'm gonna, so I kind of fist pump. That was about it. And then we like celebrated me and my fiance. We went for like a walk, kind of just talked about the results. We called both sides of our family just to let them know.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. I can imagine like the rest of your day was probably full of calling family members, calling friends. Most schools, I think, have a Match Day party as well, where you have those T-shirts from MD Financial, and big stuff for sure. I know match day is like a day of mixed emotions for sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're very fortunate to get
Totally.
your top choice program.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that you did.
Yeah.
There, I guess, will be some people that don't. Do you happen to know like anyone in your close circle, and how did that experience kind of go for them?
Yeah, so I actually had, even from like years above me, a couple of friends who, I guess maybe I'll start with my immediate circle. For the most part, everyone, I think in my immediate circle kind of matched, which was great for us. Some people didn't get their top choice, and that was like quite interesting because they'd have to move across basically the country, and they were, it was very mixed emotions at that time. But in other years, so I like a couple of years or a year before me, some of my friends like went unmatched, and I remember debriefing with that friend post match, and it definitely was hard for him because he was deciding, do I, not do the thing that I wanted to do in terms of matching to another program or like the similar program, and just like commit to being unmatched for the year and then just reapplying, or do I do a second iteration and maybe look at other programs that I might be interested in as well. So for one of my friends, he decided to go unmatched for the whole year. He ended up doing a bunch of research. He started I think working part-time perhaps, and then reapplied, and it worked out for him. Another friend went unmatched, decided, you know what, there's another field that I'm interested in. There were spots available for that. And so he then second iterationed to that. And then, he's now, in that program and very happy. Obviously it kind of hit them in the heart, and, they were very hyper reflective of like, what did I say? What did I do wrong? Sometimes it's like, why did that person get in front of me? All those things, that human emotion that can happen. But I think the biggest thing was, at least just for me to have that like conversation, and they took the time to just talk with people to like debrief what was going on. And then in terms of like the faculty in school, at least at UBC, faculty kind of lets the people know the day before the match that they went on match, so that they kind of understand that. I think you can elect to do that. But then the school will reach out to them and kind of come up with a plan. They go to see some of like the school counselors. At UBC, if you go on match for that year, you actually do a master's degree.
I know like certainly my school has been very on the ball of like prompting us on possible resources for if people go unmatched. But also like what you mentioned with one of your friends who went unmatched and then matched in the second iteration, was very happy in the program. This is like a recurring theme I am hearing from quite a few mentors, people in upper years, that's like, despite, I guess, like going unmatched in the first iteration, going through those normal human emotions of self-doubt, reflecting and being hyper reflective on maybe what could have happened and what could have gone differently, people end up very happy in many cases with the kind of outcomes after that. And I guess like on this topic of like match day being with mixed emotions, some very happy, some not so happy, especially in like the kind of acute phase. I know there's a lot of listeners who are not necessarily like going through CaRMS or like post CaRMS necessarily. And might not know like what going through the match like kind of entails. What would you say are like maybe just some pointers on like match day etiquette essentially for how like people can approach the topic with upper years that they might know?
So to clarify, like maybe like first or second year students, and third year students. Yeah, honestly, just being respectful of that person's privacy. I would say like if they're like trying to apply for a very competitive specialty, like know their relationship with them and be like, I don't know, I wouldn't just text them and be like, hey, how'd it go? And like keep following up. Just be respectful of people's space and time, right? Like it's a big thing, right? If, say they didn't get the location that they wanted or whatever. And so I would say that'd probably be the first one, is just be respectful of people's like privacy. And then I think the other thing is, just like celebrate people, right? Even if you would have thought to yourself, like years before you even got into medical school, that you're even like going to match and become a doctor, like that's great perspective of like, yeah, like, you know what, I'm going to become an MD. I don't know, just having that perspective and practicing some of that gratitude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've heard similar things of just respecting people's privacy, realizing like many people are like more open to things, like many people prefer to be more private about the match until it's all over, essentially. So that definitely rings true.
Totally.
I'm really glad to hear like kind of about your match day process, maybe what it was like for the people around you. Day of like lots of like huge emotions. Like maybe one like that you've never experienced before, for sure. And maybe just like wrapping up. To sum it all up, what are some pieces of advice you give to maybe med students like me who have match day coming closer about looking forward to the day and managing emotions, managing outcomes, and dealing with it all?
Yeah. I guess my approach, and this people have different approaches, but I kind of had a similar approach to when I was like opening up my med school acceptance or declined letters. I applied a few times to medical schools, periods where, you know, I had like a rejection. And so I think I developed like this mantra or like thought process of like, okay, you know what, like I'm at the stage in life. Like, so before, you know, the opening the CaRMS thing, you know, I was like, thought about all the things that I was really grateful for and happy, and like the accomplishments that I did have come to already, and just kind of took a deep breath and like thought about that. And then I was like, you know what, even if things don't go exactly your way, like that's okay. You know, it's part of your life journey, and just like really sitting in that and being okay with that. And so I kind of like pre-primed myself to like the potential thoughts and emotions just so I could, you know, control that a bit more. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like controlling things that you can control, even in life in general, like things that are out of your control, you know, just try not to worry about them, right? It's natural for us to do that, but you have to be able to control what you can control.
This is reminding me of like a conversation I had with Dr. Sarah Clapman, who's a general surgery resident at Queen's. We talked about like advice for CaRMS, and I think in her final advice, she echoed a lot of the same sentiments of the fact that CaRMS is such like a really like a huge process that involves factors that are so beyond your control in many instances. And like as applicants, you can only put your best foot forward, but there's so many factors that you might not know about that are influencing things behind the scenes. And so maybe like, not to take things personally for sure if it's not the outcome you're hoping for, but for sure, like what you mentioned before, like like hopefully to celebrate like the successes that like you've made to date. So it's a big day.
It is exciting. It is exciting. It's a lot of things.
Well, that's I think that's all the time we had for talking about match day, but thanks so much, Andrew. I really appreciate hearing about like your experience, your friends' experiences as well, and how they navigated that. I definitely will keep it in mind. Looking forward to T-minus, I guess.
Thanks for having me, Cam.
Of course. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into this episode of The Specialty Cafe. If you are a resident of a Royal College affiliated specialty, remember that you can join as a resident affiliate member for free. The Specialty Cafe podcast is on all of your favorite podcast platforms, so remember to catch up on all of our previous episodes and our future episodes. See you next time.